I'm 36, male, and up until a few months ago, I thought my life was more or less normal. I had a wife of 8 years, no kids by choice, a decent job that paid the bills, and a circle of friends we'd hang out with occasionally. Things weren't perfect, but I never expected them to be. What I didn't realize was that my wife was quietly blowing up our marriage behind the scenes while I was obliviously trying to make date nights and weekend trips happen. The truth hit me like a freight train, though in hindsight there were plenty of warning signs. It started with her phone. My wife had always been somewhat protective of her phone, but it became more noticeable over the last year. She'd take it everywhere, even to the bathroom, and I'd catch her smiling down at her screen at odd hours. When I'd ask, she'd dismissively say it was just memes or group chats. She wasn't exactly tech-savvy, so I didn't think much of it. But a few months ago, she got careless. She left her phone on the kitchen counter while she went to shower, and a notification lit up the screen. It was from someone I didn't recognize, and the message wasn't exactly subtle. Can't wait to see you again. Last night was incredible. My stomach twisted. My first instinct was denial. Maybe it was a joke or a friend being weird. But something in me couldn't let it go. I unlocked her phone. We'd exchanged passcodes years ago when we thought trust meant something. And what I found completely gutted me. Dozens of messages, photos, and videos exchanged with this guy. Romantic, sexual, intimate. They were talking about meeting up, recalling past hookups, and even making plans for the future. And that's when I realized that this wasn't some fleeting thing. It wasn't just emotional, as she would later try to claim. It had been going on for months, if not longer. When she came out of the shower, I was still standing there with her phone in my hand. She froze the moment she saw my face. "What's this?" I asked, holding up the screen. Her expression shifted from shock to panic to anger. "You went through my phone?" she snapped, as though that was the betrayal. "You had no right." I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just handed her the phone and said, "Explain." At first, she tried to deny it, saying it was all harmless flirting, that I was overreacting. When I pressed further, she changed her tune, saying it was only emotional and nothing physical had happened. But I'd seen the photos. I'd read the text detailing what they'd done together. She must have realized lying wasn't going to work, so she switched to a sob story about how she felt neglected, how our marriage had lost its spark, and how this guy understood her in ways I didn't. I didn't buy it. We'd had our ups and downs, sure, but I'd always been present. I'd always tried. I wasn't perfect, but I wasn't absent either. This wasn't about me failing as a husband. This was about her selfishness and entitlement. That night, I slept on the couch. The next morning, I called a lawyer. Over the next few weeks, my wife tried every trick in the book to manipulate the situation. At first, she acted remorseful, saying she'd cut all contact with the guy and begging me to go to marriage counseling. When I didn't respond, she turned angry, accusing me of being cold and unwilling to fight for our marriage. She even tried to spin it on me, saying that if I'd been more attentive, she wouldn't have needed to seek validation elsewhere. By this point, I'd already filed for divorce. I wasn't interested in salvaging anything with someone who could lie to my face and then gaslight me into thinking it was my fault. What made things worse was that her lover was married too, and his wife, who I got in touch with, had no idea. She was devastated when I told her. We compared notes, and it turned out our spouses had been sneaking around for almost a year. Together, we decided to gather evidence and make sure neither of them walked away unscathed. The divorce process wasn't quick, but my lawyer was excellent. Since we didn't have kids and I had proof of her infidelity, things were more straightforward than they could have been. However, my wife didn't make it easy. She fought tooth and nail over every little thing. Our house, our savings, even the car she never drove. She wanted everything, despite being the one who wrecked the marriage. Her entitlement was mind-boggling. At one point, she even tried to guilt me into dropping the divorce entirely. She claimed she'd lose her job if this got out. She worked in a public-facing role, and that she didn't deserve to have her life ruined over one mistake. When that didn't work, she started playing dirty. She spread rumors among our mutual friends, painting me as controlling and unfaithful myself. She went so far as to fake text messages to make it look like I'd been cheating on her. It was laughable, but it still hurt to see her stoop that low. I decided to hit back where it hurt. Her birthday was coming up, and she planned a big party with friends and family. She asked me not to make a scene, as though I was the one embarrassing her. I told her I'd be there, but I had no intention of playing along with her little charade. Instead, I arranged for her to be served with the divorce papers at the party. I wanted her to feel the humiliation she'd tried so hard to avoid. When the day came, I walked in with the papers in hand. She was all smiles, greeting guests and pretending everything was fine. As soon as I spotted her, I waved the server over. He walked up to her in the middle of the room, in front of everyone, and handed her the envelope. "What's this?" she asked, her voice loud enough to draw attention. "It's your birthday gift," I said. "Consider it closure." She opened the envelope, and the color drained from her face. Guests started murmuring as she skimmed through the papers. Her parents looked horrified. Her friends awkwardly shuffled away, and she burst into tears. I didn't stick around for the fallout. I left the party, satisfied that she finally understood the consequences of her actions. Later, I heard from a mutual friend that she'd tried to spin the story again, claiming I'd blindsided her and that I was being cruel and vindictive. But by then, most people knew the truth. Her lies were unraveling, and her reputation was in tatters. After the divorce was finalized, I blocked her on everything and cut all ties. Her lover's wife ended up filing for divorce as well, and from what I've heard, their little relationship didn't survive the fallout. As for me, I've been focusing on rebuilding my life. It hasn't been easy, but it's been worth it. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that you can't let someone's entitlement or deceit rob you of your self-respect. And for anyone out there going through something similar, don't let them gaslight you into thinking you're the problem. You deserve better. If you enjoyed this, hit that subscribe button. Or don't. I'm not the one who cheated.